Hello, everyone. How are you doing? I hope you're having a good day. I hope your day was good and productive. I hope you found some peace for your mental health, maybe some serenity. I've been doing these therapy streams for a while, and some people might think that they are a joke. That's because maybe they're confused with sincerity. Maybe they can't handle sincerity. Maybe something within them makes it impossible for them to just accept that maybe every now and then someone can actually be genuine. And today we're going to talk about fatherhood. We're going to talk about fatherhood and the importance of that in a child's mental health. Now, you were probably expecting a gunt wave tonight. There's no gunt wave. There is therapy stream. Why? Gunt wave is fun. Gunt wave is fun. It is fun to laugh at and ridicule someone who is making a complete laughing stock of themselves, someone who repeatedly engages in behaviors that is obscene, and it shows that they are a very angry and bitter person, a bit of a narcissist that puts their own interest before everyone else's and watches their world explode, or implode, I should say, crumple around them. As fun as that is, sometimes you could only put so much negative energy out there to where you realize, maybe I should do something constructive. That's what this is. This stream is dedicated partly to Ethan Ralph, and also dedicated partly to those that are fathers, that are about to be fathers. It is an incredible experience to become a father. And I should say, if someone will ask, why am I not doing this live? I would love to. However, work makes that hard for me to do. While you're watching this, I'm probably out somewhere, talking with families, whatever, with their issues. Because believe it or not, outside of the, though I put on the internet that I'm this, for lack of a better word, asshole, and very mean and all that. That's not even true. That's just one side, and is what it is. Anyway, so let's talk about fatherhood. And like I said, this is partly dedicated to Ethan Ralph. Maybe someone could clip it out and send it to him and be, hey, Ethan, Mr. Ralph, I hope one day you could become a father. I know technically you are now, but in a way technically you're not either. Okay? There's a child out there that you are responsible for conceiving, but right now you have no part at all in the child's life, no relationship whatsoever. And I'm not making fun of you for that. I'm just pointing that out. If that stings, that's on you. And you could come back with, this, that, and the other. You could blame the mother. You could blame others. Now, for those that are about to become a father, this is also for you. Let me start with, I'm going to present some information that's backed by research, by studies. We're going to examine some parents that are not good, or fathers that are not very good, not very great. real fathers, fictional fathers. And then I'll also present some anecdotal data. Okay, I'll start off with that, I suppose, to get that out of the way. Fatherhood is probably one of the more important things. Like, for me personally, maybe other fathers can relate. Becoming a father was a changing experience, a life-changing experience that I would never change or trade for anything else. Before I became a father, I was at the University of Houston Clear Lake, going into I had already graduated with a bachelor's in psychology, and then I was going into the master program for LPC license on my count. The letters escape me at the moment. Licensed psychiatrist, or not a psychiatrist, it's pretty much just a counselor. Wow. So I was going into that, and that program is pretty intense. A lot of people apply, but they only take like maybe 20, So okay, competition's pretty tough. And so while doing that, I think, I applied twice, and at that time I was also working at a psychiatric facility called Devereaux, and I was feeling a lack of purpose in my life. I could say a little bit before that time, my mental health personally was not the best. Before that, I had worked at a call center. Kind of blame it to that, and it was during that work that thoughts of just hopelessness had just grown within and taken hold, and I could not shake off. Life had no real meaning. When I was at Devereaux, when I was at college, around that time I got married, and the woman I married, became the mother of my child. And when I got the news that she was pregnant, it changed everything. Up until that point, I thought that I would reapply to the master's program to try to get in there, while take on more debt for that. I also thought I'd be able to continue my same work at Devereaux, which was not very safe. You clock in, and it's a chaotic mess. I can go into more detail about that one day, maybe. But once I got the news that my wife was pregnant, I realized I need to make some changes. I felt this new sense of purpose. I felt that this is something that I've been wanting for a while, and I'm glad that it happened. I was willing to take on that responsibility and willing to make decisions that would help the family, and that would allow me to be able to be there for my child. I was excited, man. I was happy. It was great. It was great. And it still is. Like life wasn't about then, like meaningless crap like, video games or TV shows or whatever. There was, I'm leaving behind, or I have an offspring. I have a little me. I brought somebody into this world, or I was part of bringing somebody into this world, and that person needs me. That person needs a mom and a dad to play with them, to bond with them, to play with them, to teach them right and wrong, to establish morality, to help them know that even though the world is a scary place and has horrible people in it, that there are people that love him and will be there for him. Yeah. So that's the anecdotal part. But that isn't all that surprising. I mean, you really don't have to go digging deep into studies to realize, there's something about that. Even when a mother is pregnant, when a woman is pregnant, the father, surprise, surprise, often experiences certain changes too. It's like experiencing certain pregnancy-related hormone changes by proxy, but it's also biological. Check that out. And I don't know how that is. I don't know how it is that your body knows. Your body knows, because your brain knows, that you are now a father. That person that you hopefully love, that is the mother of your child, is pregnant, and in that moment, your hormones change in your body. Your testosterone does take a dip a little bit because other things are coming in. Your estrogen level does rise a little. But that's okay. That's okay. That's understandable. That's not a man becoming weak. That is a man... Sure, it's a man softening his heart a bit because he needs to do that so that he can give his child the love that it needs. We harden our hearts, we harden ourselves to act tough. Because as men, that's how we communicate. That's how we're pretty much trained to go about our lives. Or other hormonal changes. There's hormones, oxytocin, I believe it's called, related to that hormone is associated with feelings of love and expressing love. There's other hormones that seem to be related with forming actual bonds with people, forming bonds with a child. Hormones that a mother gives off too. And keep in mind, I still think it is really strange that even in the male body, like your body is not connected anymore to the mothers. Okay, like you were connected once in that moment, right, when you can see technically, but you're not. But your body picks up on it. It senses it. It's like it's picking up on the hormonal changes. Like your body's going through changes. Your brain is rewiring. Your brain will rewire. Now, you might ask yourself, but if this happens, how come there are bad dads out there? How come there are dads that don't seem to show that? Well, my theory on this, and I would like to see more research on this, it probably exists, we'll see, is that it has to do with proximity, I believe. And to an extent, hear me out on this. The fathers that knock up a woman and they're not really that involved, they don't even live in the same house. If they do, they're in a totally different room. They make no real interaction or involvement. They seem to not really care at all. They're not going to pick up on any sort of like for some reason I'm thinking that their brain or their body is not getting the certain cues that it needs to go, okay, we need to shift the hormone levels. We need to rewire. It's like they're missing that. And maybe it's some of these dads just don't care. They don't care. That's kind of sad. I mean, that is sad. I'm not even joking. I mean, you knock somebody up, you get them pregnant, you're bringing a child in the world, and you don't have the common decency to just be there for the child? So what if you don't like the woman anymore, or if her family is mean to you or whatever? It's not about your feelings about them. It's about your feelings towards the child. Children are unable to set aside their differences. Adults should be able to. But that's not even accurate, is it? Yeah, but some dads just do not even seem to acknowledge the importance. I brought up Ethan Ralph. He's a good example. Ethan Ralph, the father of a child named Xander. But Faith was pregnant. Was he involved? Doesn't sound like it. Doesn't seem like it. When Faith was at the hospital and delivered Xander into this world, Ralph was not there. Ralph missed an important moment. There are studies about this. The moment the child is born, you have to be there. You have to do everything you can to be there. If you have to take time off of work, make a long drive, make some flights, spin backwards, or do whatever you have to do, you gotta be there. That's a very crucial moment for you. The first people to interact with that child and to hold him or her, to show him warmth and show him love, it means so much. It sets an imprint on them. It is so important. You can still establish a healthy relationship without that, but it is very important for you to do so. But it's also important for you not to just be there for that one moment, but to be there for the child, for the baby, as much as you can. And I know that's hard when fathers work. However, when fathers are self-employed and are doing a podcast in their house and they can't find time to do that, that tells me they are selfish to I don't know. I mean, I want to say some things that are mean. And this is a therapy stream. It's about healing. See, guys, I'm not perfect on this. No one's perfect on this. Therapists have their own therapists. Life coaches have their own life coaches. But you know what I'm saying is true. People like Ethan Ralph, they put their podcasts before their family. And some might say, what about you, Mr. Dedman? You stream every night. Yes, I do. Where do you think my kids are when I'm streaming? They're in bed. Or they're going to bed. Or they're playing Minecraft. And I've already spent hours playing Minecraft with them. And I'll spend some more hours. That's the other thing. Fatherhood is essential for a child's healthy development. A child needs a father figure. You have to be there. And it's best, and there's research on this, it's best if a loving father and mother can both be in the household to provide love. Because the maternal and paternal ways of parenting, it helps. It really does. It's stereotypical, but it's true. It just happens to be the case because it's true, because our bodies are, you could say it's in our DNA, you could say it's biological, you could say it's something we learn from, I guess, the beginning of man, that women tend to be more nurturing and caring, and they do. They take on a role that men can't take. It's biologically impossible for them to take. They can't breastfeed. They can't do that stuff. The mom has a very important role, just as much as the dad. While the dad can't breastfeed, while the dad may not have that soft, warm, loving touch, dad, the father, his touch might be a little bit, might be a little bit more hardened, and that's okay. Like when a child gets injured, he fell off the bike, bumped his knee, runs to the mom crying. What does the mom tend to do? Yeah, console him. Console him. Hug him. Love him. Tell him it's going to be okay. Right? Oh, can I kiss to make it better? Things like that. And, as fathers, what do fathers tend to do? They may say similar things, but it's done in a different way. And the difference is important. And the difference is something that kids pick on. Or, they notice that. And they grow from that. Fathers tend to, as the child is injured, running to home, with a scrape, and the child's crying, may first ask them to stop crying, and will then take care of it or help them. And when they say stop crying, it's not to teach that boys don't cry, although some might do that. It is, when I do it anyway, it's that I understand you're in pain, son or daughter. I understand it hurts. And you're crying right now. But is that making it any better? Is that making it any better? I know you hurt yourself. I could see it. And we'll take care of it. But is the crying going to make it any better? It's just going to exhaust you. It's going to tire you out. It's wasted. It's wasted energy. And besides, we're going to dust ourselves off, maybe put a Band-Aid on it, and then get right back on that bike, or do what you were doing before. It may be a little risky tire swing, or whatever it was, because we get bumped, we get scraped, we fall down, we pick ourselves up, and we get back at it. talking about this. I'm feeling, I'm genuinely feeling that that sort of like awesome wave of, I don't know what to call it. It's not love. It's like a sort of fondness, if you will. Being a father is so good, man. And when I see fathers that have no role, they choose to have no role with their kids, that pisses me off. And when I see fathers who say, oh, but I can't have any involvement with the kids because the mom won't let me because of the state, I will stop them and question, how did it get there? How did it get there? You could say, well, the state's design and this, blah, 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 blah. And, you'll be right in many ways. But let's say you and someone you used to like, someone you thought you loved, you have a child, maybe two children, you have children together. And things aren't going well. Things aren't going well at all. And they're not going to get better. In fact, if anything, she has a guy on the side, maybe you have a girl on the side, and it's just toxic. Maybe it's better you guys are apart. Maybe it's better if you guys are not. First off, y'all shouldn't be doing that. Y'all shouldn't be doing that because kids will pick up on that. If you are the sort of parent, no matter what you are, if you're the mother or the father, the woman or the man, if you're out there, going out there every night or bringing people home, strangers home, kids pick up on that. They see that. What the parents do, oh man, what the parents do and how they talk, how they interact with people, their behaviors in the home, outside the home. If kids are watching, and they're always watching, they learn from that. They start forming their perspective of the world around that. And this is getting out we're getting out from fatherhood. Now we're talking about parenting and talking about, I will say this, and we'll get back to fatherhood. For the men who don't want to be just on standardized visitation, or worse than that, a supervised visitation, you have to fight for your rights. You have to fight for your rights, and you have to play it smart. If you're in a relationship and the woman is unfaithful or is doing things, then you ask her to leave, and if she doesn't leave, you file for separation. You file for divorce. You do that. If you leave the home, and you leave her with the kids, she has power. You lost. Well, you didn't lose the war, but you made it more difficult, possibly. So, know your rights. Okay? Be smart about it. You can't just blame the state. Not every time. And you can't just blame the other woman or the other person, not all the time. But we'll talk about that later. Maybe parenting and co-parenting. That's hard. Moving back to fatherhood, though. So we talked about how you have to be there when the child is born to imprint. You have to be there when the child is growing. Let's talk a little bit more about that. You form a bond with your child when they're a baby, and you are sitting there. Maybe you're listening to music. Maybe you're holding your little baby on your chest. You're rocking and you're playing music. It doesn't even matter what you play, man. It really doesn't. You could play baby music or Baby Shark. I played metal. I played like Slayer and Metallica and like Slipknot. For both my kids. One turned out to be more demonic than the other. No, I'm just joking. But No, like just, and the reason why I say that, music or sound or whatever, because first off, you're going to need them because it helps put them to sleep. If anything, all that metal was probably just sound like white noise to them, and that's why it helped put them to sleep. But that moment, man, those moments, they're very important. Like when you physically hold a baby and you have them here for a while, especially if someone, I mean, hopefully no one's grabbing anyone's baby, right? Like you will feel a biological change. You will feel a change within. It feels weird. It lightens your mood in a way. You're holding something very precious, it is something that depends on you for its protection. Okay, so now we're talking about when they're a baby and they're sleeping, but even when they're awake, read books to them. Interact with them, man. Just be part of their life. And as they grow and they, what they're into, you could do like rough and tumble things. As dads, we tend to do this more often than the moms, where we will pick up the kid and we may even manhandle them. Be like, "What are you doing?" I'm not just throwing my kid in the air. I know I'll throw him in the air, I'll catch him, and we'll have fun. We'll have lots of fun. And it'll be safe. Don't mess up though. Don't mess up when you do that. Don't do it too much. Some people will just flat out WWE wrestle with the kids, and well, no. They're still babies. That stuff is great. It helps form the bond, man. It strengthens your bond with the child, and dad's going to play a role. If you could build that healthy foundation, that healthy attachment from the beginning, you will have an easier time when they become teenagers. You want a healthy attachment. You don't want them to be too attached to you. You want them to want you to be around, but not constantly need you to be around. And there's a difference, and sometimes you may not see the difference. It may seem like the same thing, especially, let's say, nighttime routines or whatever, where like the child may ask you to be in the room because they need you before so they can fall asleep. Okay. Well, what's going on there? They might be afraid of something. They might be afraid of the dark, afraid of shadows, whatever. You navigate that routine, okay? You navigate that. You may humor it for a little while, and then you will slowly, gradually reduce how long you stay in the room. And you may even talk to them, you know what? Why don't you try without me tonight? Try without me. I think you can do it, son. I think you got it. And you know what? And eventually, they will get it. It takes time with that. There's one thing. When it comes to play, yeah, sure, it's really great for fathers to play with the kids. It's really great for them to, it doesn't have to be sports. It could be anything. I mean, if your child's into Minecraft or Roblox, whatever, that's fine too, or Legos, that's fine too. And you're gonna find yourself doing things that you'd never do. Like, I literally played Barbie Dreamhouse with my daughter the other day, and come on, man. Now, I was like, all right, we're doing this, okay. But that's gonna happen. There are gonna be times where your daughter may put makeup on you, and then your wife might think that's cute and take a picture that you hope never gets leaked. All that goofiness, all that silliness, it's strengthening a bond, man. Now, let's talk about discipline. Because as fathers, we do have to lay down the line. Or lay down the law, I should say. As fathers, we need to establish limitations. We need to establish expectations and limitations. Make it clear. When I implement any sort of discipline, I try to tell my kids very clearly what it is I expect, If maybe it's something we didn't talk about before, which usually that's the case, something happens. It's like, man, why did they think that's a good idea? Like, for example, anyone who has kids knows this. The bathroom that the kids use is probably a disaster, especially the sink. It has toothpaste all over the place. And it's like, why do they think that's acceptable? Oh, because I didn't get onto them. Or I didn't get onto them enough. I didn't get onto them in a way where it sends a message. And that doesn't really mean spanking. I mean, as far as physical discipline goes, there may be a time and place where you may need to do that. Some people consider that abuse. I can tell you, in the state of Texas, it is not abuse. There is a line, but it's not abuse. Sometimes you may need to spank on the rear or pop on the hand or whatever. And it's not to abuse. It's not to necessarily inflict harm on them. It is a very quick way to send a very clear and understandable message of, oh, no, that wasn't good. Oh, yeah, I messed up. But then you have to follow that up, that physical discipline, with, a reason why that happened. And half the time, like, your kids aren't listening to you. They don't even know what you're saying. They're still stuck in their own emotions. They're still stuck in their situation. They're just crying. They're seeing red or whatever. They see you in the face, all this stuff. So ask them to repeat it back to you, what you're saying. You don't expect word for word. It might be like in their own way of saying it, but you got to set clear expectations. So with the bathroom stuff, it's like, kids, we need to talk. We need to take care of this bathroom. It is an absolute disaster. Just stuff like that. Absolute disaster. I don't know what you guys were thinking. The toothpaste, I need to clean that up. I did it, or she did it, whatever. It's like, look, I don't really care who did it. Y'all just need to clean it up. And, so y'all clean it up together right now. And then what we'll do is, after it's your turn, you clean up your mess and so forth. And has that worked? More or less. Some nights are better than others. Now, man, going back to the reason why I'm doing this, there's people that ask, how do you be a father? Like, what is it? And maybe they'll go ask people who are dads what they do. And maybe they'll read books. Maybe they'll watch YouTube videos or listen to people that they think will coach them into it. A lot of it, for me anyway, a lot of it was just going through the moments and reflecting on how my dad was with me and if I like that sort of treatment or not. And you know what I'm talking about. Our fathers, they have times where they're nice, times where they're not so nice, and times where, maybe for some of us, it gets kind of weird, dark, or whatever. It's like, okay. So reflect on that. The things that you liked that your dad did to you when you were a child, it did for you, I should say. Well, then do that. Do it in your own way. The things you didn't like that your father had done, whatever, then don't do those things. Do something different. When it comes to like particular things like changing diapers and navigating changing diapers, when they get sick, when they throw up, all that stuff, like, you're gonna do it. Like, it doesn't emasculate you to change diapers. It's happening. You're gonna be changing a lot of messy diapers, and you're gonna have blowouts. You're gonna have moments where you go pick up Mexican food and you have your child in one hand, and you get home and you swear to God you thought the 7-layer dip fell on your shirt, but you realize, no, that was coming from your son's diaper. And that didn't gross me out. I don't like that stuff, but it didn't gross me out. There's when you're a parent and when you have to take responsibility and you have to clean up their messes, you have to help them, especially when they're a baby, when they're very young. Yeah, some things will gross you out. Some things you'll be like, I am surprised that came out of you, son. You're like an exorcist. You threw up all over my car. What did you do? But you just get to the moment and you look for the silver lining. You're like, complaining about this, crying about it is not going to get it done, is not going to get us out of this particular vomit fest. But you know what will? Actually just rolling up our sleeves and doing the work and moving on. And laughing about it afterwards. That's what it is, man. Being a parent, if you are involved in that way where you're changing diapers and getting that stuff, dude, you will feel it. The sense of being humble, if you will. Now we said we're going to talk about some real life examples. For bad dads, there's Ethan Ralph. Ethan Ralph is a bad dad. Ethan Ralph is someone that could have made sacrifices, could have put aside the podcast for a little bit to go spend time with the baby. He would have to confront a family that didn't like him, but he would have to set that aside and tell the hospital, look, I have just as much right to be there. I'm the father of that baby. Then again, things for him could have been done in a different way had he made different choices. Other bad dads, well, very famous one. I mean, he's the most popular man apparently. Joe Biden. Hunter Biden is no angel. Hunter Biden is involved in all sorts of stuff. Drugs, prostitution, possibly underage prostitution. Now you say, oh, he's an adult male. He could do that stuff. If the diary of her name escapes me now. Was it Ashley Biden? Who's the girl? Let me know in the comment section. But if that diary's true, if Joe was doing some weird stuff to his daughter, well, then what was he doing or not doing with Hunter? You see, dads don't have to overly whoop your butt or punch you in the face, put you in chokeholds, get drunk and, beat up your mom in front of you. They don't have to abuse you. They could just neglect you and abandon you. Put everything else in their life in importance, place it and hold it to a higher value than you. They could do that. And that impacts the child too. If you're not there for your kids, that's not good, man. Children they form a sense of what a man is supposed to be, supposed to do from their fathers. Sons need their dad. They need their dad to help them know right from wrong, to teach them things about the world, to show them, maybe it's showing them skills or spending time with them. They need that stuff. But at the same time, when you take on fatherhood, you need to put your own things in check. If you are someone who's a drunk and you take pills on the side, and you're banging tranny hookers or whatever you're doing, you go to these parties and you, for some reason, bring your son to those parties. Wow, you don't be surprised when your son does the same thing. Don't be surprised if your son at the age of 15 is already snorting lines. If Ethan Ralph was Xander's dad in a way that, actually spending time with him, Xander would probably already be on the kill stream, on the podcast. Drinking Maker's Mark, popping pills. Might even be a better host than Ethan Ralph. Of course, there's all sorts of notable bad dads in fiction. Homer Simpson, choking Bart, drinking in excess. And the drinking in excess, that becomes a problem when it impairs your ability to actually parent and be there. But yeah, Homer's definitely an example of a dad that will use excessive corporal punishment. Not even corporal punishment. We're talking about chokes. You do that, if you choke your kids like that, well, you're going to lose your kids. It's plain and simple. If you were to choke your son like Homer chokes Bart, don't be surprised if your son is found dead. Or if you find that cops are knocking at your door with a social worker saying they're coming in to take your kids. Here's a notice of removal. We need a list of family members that could be possible placement. Otherwise, it's going to be like foster and other things. Okay. Don't be surprised if that happens. Other notable examples. That show. Shameless. Frank Gallagher. Now that is a notoriously bad dad. That dad is awful. That dad is never there. Never there. A massive drunk. He's a scammer. Scams the government. And I don't really mind if he scams the government. That's not what I'm so mad about. That's not necessarily what makes him a bad dad. Okay, if you teach his kids how to get by. Hey, how to get by. Politicians scam us. Do in return, I suppose. But he is the father of 6 kids. And he's not even there for any of them. Constantly getting so drunk to the point to where he just passes out. Or the kids are left to their own devices. We're talking about young kids. And while we're talking about a fictional character, that stuff happens in the real world. There are parents out there, dads and moms that will still think that they can party hard while they have kids in the home. It's like, you guys are parents. Your days of partying is over. They are over, and they should be. What are you doing? He's such a bad dad, this Frank Gallagher guy. I believe in one episode he called CPS on his own family. You have Al Bundy, Married with Children. No, in a way I can relate to Al Bundy. You come home from work, you just want to watch TV or chill, be to yourself, have some beer, whatever. You don't want to be bothered with all this other nonsense. But what happens to your kids in that moment? I mean, you're not spending time with them. You're not forming any sort of bond or attachment with them. And that has a negative impact on their development, on their mental health. And you'd be like, oh, they're teenagers. Even teenagers need their father around to guide them. It's very important. Besides, if you're a dad and your kids are teenagers and you can't tell me what they're into, you can't tell me what you think their interests are or hobbies are or what they possibly do, then you don't know anything about them. If you don't know, I mean, if you can't tell somebody what you think your teenage boy or teenage girl is doing, you need to step up and be more involved, and that's what I would suggest anyway. It does help. When I was, I think, 16, my dad, growing up, was not always there. He would spend most of his time at work, and then his home, he'll be with friends, drinking beer, and that's about it. So rarely ever did we spend any real time together, and it boiled down to this. We figured it out that there's things he would like to do that I was never really into when I was a kid. I was like hunting. And there's things I like to do that he's not really into, like, playing video games and all that. But around a particular time, I think around when I was 16, that changed. Like we started actually, I guess, getting more involved in each other's, I guess, hobbies and things. And it really didn't matter if, like, when my father would join and like play, I think it was SXX Tricky for the GameCube. He wasn't any good at it, but like we would talk about other things, and it was like, you know what, that's good. That was a moment. I was like, okay, that was nice. That was helpful. That was nice. And I in return would go hunting with them, go to the deer lease, and we started doing that more and more. And it actually had a positive effect on our relationship. A positive effect to where what I regret is not doing it sooner. But, you learn. You live and learn. All right. So in short, to summarize this, it is really important, very important, for you to be there for your child. You have to be there. Preferably from the moment they're born. And you're going to have a lot of sleepless nights. You're going to have a lot of days where you're running on little sleep. Maybe you're chugging Red Bulls or 5-hour energy drinks on the side to stay up so you can be there for your little one while they listen to Baby Shark over and over again, or while they watch the same movie over and over again. That happens. You're gonna love it. Oh yeah, you're gonna love it. You're gonna love it. Ah, but it means so much to your kids. You have no idea. You have absolutely no idea until you start doing it and you see the results. You will see the results. Especially if you read to them while they're young, you work with them, you help to figure out problems, you get them involved in like toys or hobbies where they're thinking and constructing, like Legos, and you encourage them to explore and learn about things. Like my son was, he liked natural disasters, would read about them. Very, very strange, but he could tell you all about a tornado and hurricane and all this stuff. Oh, okay. Spending time with your kids is important, and it's important to their mental health. Okay? It helps them form, it helps them form better social skills for one, or more sociable. It helps them with their trust, with setting boundaries with people. It gives them more confidence. It does increase their self-esteem. It's good stuff. Now, for the next therapy stream, what will we talk about? I'll leave it to y'all to decide. I'll put a post. What could we talk about? We'll get into that. Now, with that said, I hope you all found this helpful in some way. And that's all I'm asking for. Y'all take it easy and have a good one.